Welcome to the bridge of the Here's to Us and another journey on what yacht to do. We're going from Schnectady, Mohawk Harbor, and we're just going to take a leisurely day and go up to Amsterdam and try out a new spot up there. We've been through the loop before. We stayed at Amsterdam Riverlink Park, which is a choice, but we want to try something different. So we're going to go on the west side of Loch 11 where there's supposedly Guylink Park, and we'll just see how it is. We have a backup plan in case that doesn't work because we don't want to have to go back through the lock and do that. We'll have 4 locks today. So I'll talk a little bit about that and some information on the lock. But what I first wanted to start out with is just a little chat about safety and security. And was reading the 2019 recreational boating statistics. It's about an 83-page PDF that you can get from the Coast Guard. You just go on, just Google 2019 recreational boating statistics, and you can bring that up. And one of the things I went to first was the executive summary, just to kind of see, hey, what are the cause of recreational boating accidents? And surprisingly, it's all human, mostly human error, and they fall into the top 5, and I'll just kind of go through them here. Is alcohol number 1. So watch your use of alcohol where you're operating boats, and certainly if you're a licensed captain, you can't be doing that. So that's one thing. Operator inattention, number 2. Improper lookout, operator inexperience, and then another one you have control over is excessive speed. So on the Eerie Canal, there are speed limits here, and as you go along the Eerie Canal, there will also be a lot of marinas, a lot of boat docks, and so there's no need to be hurrying through these areas. So every once in a while, turn around and look at your wake as well. And if you're coming up to an area where you're a little uncertain, just back it on down. Okay, I mean that's the main thing there. But I found that that report was very interesting, and it will drill down into your type of boat, cabin, motor yacht. Most of the accidents, as you would probably guess, have to do with open motor boats, the smaller boats where people are out there just having fun and probably haven't never taken a boating safety class. So as bigger boat operators, you have prepared yourself. But I think it's interesting to look at those statistics, and you can go back a number of years and it shows how they've changed over the years. The fatalities were down, but the number of accidents were up compared from 2018 to 2019. A little bit about security. We're at this Mohawk Harbor Marina, and if you will look over here, Rev, I'm going to bring up this one as well here. Right now it looks like, hey, where's the boat? It's right here. It's on land. Because this is a relatively new marina. Now this is active captain or my Garmin chart. Over here you also see navionics, and here's the boat on there. It's not depicted. However, what I have on the iPad is the Aquamap portrayal, and there it is. There is the boat, and there is the harbor. So you can see Aquamaps has a little bit more updated information that's on there, and I've updated my charts, and this is the best we can get. So the entrance to it is up there. It is very narrow, as you could see, and so what we'll be doing is just, it's very calm today, so we'll be just going out at a very slow speed and watching that entrance. And as I always say, breadcrumbs in, breadcrumbs out. You can kind of see here we made a little bit of a jog, so we'll be following that as well as visually and just taking it real slow as we go out. So really the difference between your chart plotters, and I'm not familiar with Ray Marine or some of the other ones out there, but just the ones that I'm using, the Garmin Active Captain, the Navionics, and the Aquamap, different information sources. Another thing about planning is where are you going to go? Okay, and so there are a number of information sources that are out there. There have been people who have published guides, and some of the guides are good, some of the guides, are outdated. And so when you're working with outdated information, you have to take those pieces that might still be good and go. So what I am using today is I have read a guide that was published about 2 years ago. It gave me some good basic information. Then I looked at Skipper Bob, which you can get Skipper Bob through the Waterway Guide, folks. And then I also looked at Waterway Guide reviews. And then I looked at the Navionics reviews, which are basically the same as Active Captain. I pieced all those together. And Skipper Bob really does a great job of, particularly on the Erie Canal and some of the waterways like the Illinois Waterway and Mississippi and those places that you'll go on the loop, does a great job of doing mile by mile what it is, what each bridge is and that, and it's really good overview. And then what I did was, when I was in Waterford, I picked up this little handout, and it had a nice little map of, the Erie Canal with phone numbers. And so what I did is I kind of used this as my situational awareness. I made notes along here as to, hey, here's the locks, how many miles are they on the Erie, so I can kind of know how far it is between them. I've got the guard gates that were already on here. I know what their mileage is, and I also have kind of where we want to be stopping along the way so that we can kind of take a look at things. If the weather goes bad, we'll have an idea. So studying your route and being familiar with where you're going goes back to one of those things of, safety, operator inattention, because what you don't want to be doing is trying to be operating the boat up here, even though we have autopilot, operating the boat and looking through various publications and all that. So study it ahead, make some notes, however you want to do it, and then you'll be in a much better safety arena, as I call it, than you would be flipping around through things. Another thing about this harbor is you pan around here, Rev, and you can kind of see there's hardly anybody here. Okay, and this is due to the pandemic. But it's also getting later in the season. It's after Labor Day, and people are taking their boats out. So the marina is unattended. Now, we did spend 3 days here, and we felt totally safe. But we are going to a place, and we're going to be tying up on a wall. We may or may not have power. So one of the things we are concerned about is security of ourselves and the boat. And when we started looking at things, we did two things. Is we looked for some lighting on the outside of the boat, and we got some LED solar powered LEDs, and they're available on our resource page. Take a look at them. I looked at a number of different ones, and what I did was I velcroed 4 of those, one on the front, one on each side, port and starboard, and one on the aft, so that, hey, when we walk up to the boat, number one, we're safe. We feel like we have some lighting, but if anybody else approaches the boat, the light comes on, and that is a deterrent in itself. So the motion activated lights, they'll come on, and you can program to however you want to have them come on, for dim or bright, or long or short. Now, another thing that we did was, the Here's to Us has 3 doors up here in this enclosed area that's up here from the Lido deck, as we call it, the lower bridge here. They're Lexan doors, so I looked for something that would work, and they are programmable. You can put in a 4-digit code, and there's I think a 30-second or 45-second delay as you get out. You set the code, you get out, and if somebody tries to enter, it will. When you enter, it will give you a number of seconds to put that code in, but you will also have, if you don't enter that code, it is a shrieking loud noise that will just pretty much scare anybody away. So it is a deterrent. So you may look into some of those things. Those are on the resource page too, and depending on your boat, the particular application, you may or may not be able to use those, but think about those types of things. So we are going today, and like I said, we had 4 locks, and one of the last things that I want to share with you is, let's go, because I know my first lock here is around turn 47, and that is going to be lock 8 on the Erie Canal. This E8 is something that I put in so that I could find the waypoint. But as I hover over that, I'll see lock E8, and this is per active captain, and it will tell you, it's channel 13. It's a 14-foot lift. We're going up. Weighted lines only, so Rev will know about that. Good tie up on the west side of the lock, so as we go through and we needed to stop at all, we could stop there.
That
and
means
then
there's no cables.
there's no
down.
cables, right? There's just lines, weighted lines only. And so if I wanted more information about that, I could always call the lock master on the phone and talk to them, because each one of them has a cell or as a phone number that is on this little handout, or you could find in other places. But lock number 8, I could give lock number 8 a call at this particular number here, the Scotia lock at mile 24, and chat with the lock master. Normally I'll call them about 2 miles out on the phone and ask how does it look for a westbound pass, and they'll tell me, hey, we've got one going in, or whatever, so I can adjust my speed. But I'll also ask them, hey, what side should we plan on tying, and he'll say either side, or he'll say, hey, just the south side today, or just the north side today. So anyway, so a little bit about planning and all the information that is available to you, but you really got to look at that, the night before or the morning of, before your trip, so you can absorb it all and pay attention to operating your boat. One other thing is we are planning to stop at SK yards for about 3 days. We're going to be just doing one-day trips here for a little bit, but SK yards, and people ask all the time, hey, what do you do about getting prescriptions, mail, those types of things? And so at SK yards, I've already talked to the people there. I have some products and things that I want for the boat. Those are already being shipped there, and so I'm going to check on them today. While we're en route, also calling them and asking to talk to the service department, because there's a couple of things I want to have done on the boat that I don't want to do myself. So that's how you can kind of plan your trip along the Great Loop.